This was another super interesting recent study in 2021, the European Journal of Applied Physiology. This is from Minshul et al. Contralateral strength training attenuates muscle performance loss following anterior cruciate ligament reconstruction, a randomized controlled trial. Now, I do believe you should strength train your contralateral limb, right? Your contralateral limb is actually quite important. Again, we want to try to maintain the strength on that side because we are going to get weaker on that side as well, just because you can't strength train quite as much right after you've had ACL reconstruction. So I want to make sure that we're maintaining the strength on that contralateral limb. Right. So that's going to mean working the hamstring and the calves, right? We're working the kinetic chain because those are important. And what this study was showing, and this is kind of crazy, but just training that contralateral limb is going to attenuate a lot of the hamstring and quad weakness in the short term, right? So basically, at 10 weeks in, after ACL reconstruction, in the group that ended up working the contralateral limb versus the group that did not work the contralateral limb, the folks that worked the contralateral limb didn't have the same amount of hamstring and quad weakness as the folks that didn't work the contralateral limb. What does that mean? It means that training the contralateral limb actually makes the surgical limb stronger, and that sounds crazy, right? But it seems to help in the short term. So at 10 weeks, but at 24 weeks, a lot of this went away anyway. But however, I still think it's really smart to make sure that you're working the contralateral limb, especially working the rest of the kinetic chain, right? And we just made a huge deal about working the quadriceps, and that's obviously important, but we also want to make sure we're working on the hamstrings and the calves. As I discussed in my last lecture, we talked about evidence-based guide to ACL reconstruction exercise prescription. There's a very important co-contraction that goes on between the quad, the hamstring, and the gastroc that's going to reduce stress on the ACL graft. So we obviously need to make sure those are nice and strong. Okay. The hips are also important because in a lot of folks get injured, they don't have great control of valgus at the knee, and they end up getting injured as a result, right? And the other piece is that you may have a partial weight-bearing status. And if you have a partial weight-bearing status, which we had in this patient, they're probably going to end up being a little bit weaker than someone who had full weight-bearing status just because we can't load that limb quite as much. So we got to train the rest of the kinetic chain as much as we can, even though the quad is probably the most important thing. So here's what I want you to do next, guys. If you enjoyed this video so far, I have an entire course. It's free. It's called the Fitness Pain-Free Mini Course. And we go over 3 lessons going to help you take a lot of this information that we went over so far and put it into practice. The first lecture is called Why We Need a Better System. So first and foremost, the way we treat fitness individuals, all right, athletic people in the gym from a physical therapy perspective is pretty much broke, okay? So we need a better system to serve the folks that are in the gym that get hurt, they want to get back to training, all right? Lecture number 2 is called 7 Reasons Why People Get Hurt in the Gym. And essentially, we have to know the reasons why people get hurt in the gym so we can keep them safe in the future, right? And when they get hurt, we have to know why and how to get them back to training in the gym. Okay, so a thorough understanding of this is very, very important. I actually have a really cool infographic that goes along with this lecture that you get for free as well. And lastly, we go over a case study of how to get someone out of pain and back to training. So these principles are all phenomenal, but we don't actually put it together and you don't understand how to create a program to get people back in the gym and keep them safe for the long term, then we lose, right? So I'll put a link in the show notes for this. It's a Fitness Pain-Free Mini Course. Definitely check this out.